Welcome to Understanding the Bible with Pastor Stephen, episode 25, Money Part 2, Increasing Your Wealth. This episode is meant to explain the biblical concept of increasing your wealth and what that means practically speaking in the modern world that we live in. Last time we covered the concept of household finances, budgets, work ethic, being frugal and wise when you have money and how to get it. Today I want to bring up two quick Bible verses about people who had great wealth. Okay, one is 1 Chronicles 4:10, Jabez. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed and enlarge my coast." So he was literally asking God for more land to give him a bigger empire with his clan of people, right? And that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. And God granted him that which he requested. So the first thing to understand there is it's not wrong to ask God for more. It's not wrong to desire more. But notice that he said, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me. So his accumulation of wealth and land and property and all those things, he knew could lead him to evil and cause problems in his life. So we need to understand that things for human beings are dangerous in that it leads you towards doing evil, caring more about those things than God, having idols, all those other things, using it unwisely, covetousness. There's so many evils in desiring wealth and going after it the wrong way. And once you accumulate it, you look at all the millionaires that have won the lotteries and things. Just do a Google search on that. Most of them are destitute and poor and worse off than they were before. So there is a dangerous bent in humanity towards evil when you have wealth and you can do whatever you want. So Jabez asked for God to keep him from that. So that's a very important thing to understand. The second one here is Solomon. 2 Chronicles 1:7. In that night did God appear unto Solomon and said unto him, Ask what I shall give thee. Verse 10, Solomon says, Give me now wisdom and knowledge. Verse 11, God answers him and says, Because this was in your heart, and you did not ask for riches, wealth, and honor, nor the life of your enemies, nor for long life for yourself, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people over whom I have made you king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there be any after thee have the like. So wisdom is more important to God, but God has no problem giving people wealth. All right, so that brings us to how do we increase our wealth? First, we need to understand that wisdom is a key thing. Learning new things, understanding and wisdom is just do a Google search. There's thousands of verses in the Bible about wisdom, understanding, learning, all kinds of stuff. So we need to understand Proverbs 12:1. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. So reproof means correction, criticizing, constructive criticism, showing you where you've done something wrong, okay? So a wise person tries to learn new things. That means on the job, you learn other tasks. You learn the other person's job once you've got yours down. Make yourself useful to the company, the people you work for, so that you are more desirable and they don't want to lose you because you're a hard worker and you know so much about the job. And then in your own life, not just the job, learn a new skill, go to school, watch YouTube videos, develop a hobby, increase your capabilities, your talents. One of the ways to do that is to always ask questions. In order to ask questions, though, and actually learn and gain wisdom, you have to be open to different viewpoints. That means you've got to honestly try to learn new things and how things are done, and not only the how, but the why behind it. So the why is kind of important. Also, learn to develop the technique of asking a general question first about something and then following up with a probing question to get more information. Don't always be satisfied with letting someone else do it for you because they know how. And then learn for the sake of learning so that you become knowledgeable about many things and not ignorant. When you become more knowledgeable, that increases your marketability and ability to ask for a raise or to seek out a better job that pays more. And of course, we have to learn the second part of that, don't hate reproof, is learn to accept correction. Be able to admit mistakes, but more importantly, learn how to do it better. And one of the ways you can do that is when you do something that's passable, that everyone's like, oh yeah, that's good. No big deal. Move on to the next task. Maybe seek out someone who's been there longer who can critique it and show you how to do it better or faster. So if you seek out correction and critique, that will also help you. Loving reproof, that's pretty much what that is. All right, so you make yourself better skill-wise. You learn more, right? That's the biggest thing. Gain wisdom and knowledge and be better. Then the other thing in regards to increasing your wealth would be, of course, to have more streams of income. And what I mean by that is based off of, real quick, two people in the Bible, the virtuous woman in Proverbs 31 and Job. I'm just going to cherry pick a couple of verses out of here, okay? Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Verse 13. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships. She brings her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night and gives meat to her household. She considers a field and buys it in verse 16. Verse 18, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night, meaning she's working all night. She lays her hands to the spindle and her hands hold the distaff. Verse 22, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes fine linen and sells it and delivers girdles unto the merchant. Verse 31, give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. So there's a whole nother sermon on that about being praised for well-doing and how that is not pride. Now, in America, in our poor English, we would say pride in a job well done, right? But pride is a sin. The Bible calls it praise. You can be praised for doing something well, to making something of value that people will buy. And there is nothing wrong with that. So some of the things that she did, she works with wool and flax. She brings her food from afar. So either by purchasing from far off lands or hunting herself. I have no idea how she brings her food in from afar, but that's another thing that she's doing. And that is a wise way to handle your money. Getting your own food, maybe couponing. There's so many different ways that you can get your food wisely as opposed to going to Applebee's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and shelling out your entire income every week just to eat food. So there's wise ways of doing things. Not to mention she buys fields and plants a vineyard. So she's also buying property. She's involved in the selling and marketing of her merchandise. She also stays up late at night to make clothes. Her husband is known among the elders of the city. He sits at the gates, which is where they did business. So he was evidently a businessman as well. And she deals with merchants. She brought the girdles unto the merchants. So she didn't merely sell individually to the people. She sold in bulk to the merchants that sold things. So there again is wisdom in your marketing and how you sell things. So she had multiple ways of handling her money. The other one I think about is Job. Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright and one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. So the lesson here in regards to finances is that he found something he was good at, apparently raising animals, or maybe managing people that raised animals. And he diversified. He had sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. and a great number of them, apparently. Now, the second lesson there, of course, is the whole book of Job. He lost it all because of Satan and God's permissive will allowing it to happen. But God blessed him so that he regained double what he had lost. And there's a lesson to be learned from that in trusting God and perseverance. Even when he lost it all, he kept going and he got it all back. So most rich people have lost it all at some point, gone bankrupt, businesses failed, right? But they didn't give up. And over the years, they made it all back and then some. They learned from what happened and they tried harder and fixed their mistakes and kept going. That perseverance is key. That consistency where you keep doing what you need to do, you keep working hard, you keep trusting God, and you keep doing things the right way, and eventually it will pay off. Now, you have to understand also the Bible verse about being content with whatever you have. Because I look at the parable Jesus told of the rich man and Lazarus. Lazarus was poor and died poor, starving and sick. And not the Lazarus, Jesus' friend. This was a parable about a man named Lazarus, or a story about a man named Lazarus, that different guy. The point is, if you persevere and do things the right way in this earth, either you will eventually make it and have the things that you need or desire, even if you become wealthy, or because you did things the right way and you die poor, you will be rewarded in heaven. So you have to have that understanding and that trust in God that whatever happens is in God's control and that you can be content having little, even though you strive for more and try and implement biblical concepts of building your wealth and taking care of your businesses and things like that. Ultimately, if you take care of your family, it doesn't matter if you're poor or wealthy, if you did things the right way, keeping your eyes on God and Jesus Christ. So you always have to have that balance, the proper balance in life. When we're talking about money here, I can't cover everything in one podcast episode, and I can't cover the whole Bible even in a whole year. There's so much information in there. I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg on all these things. So what does this mean for us today about diversifying your income, multiple streams of income? Well, obviously, most of us have a job to pay the bills. So you save what you can, you try and invest a little bit for the future, and then invest some in yourself in learning a new skill to bring additional income. That's kind of something that you really need to do these days with inflation and governments and everyone taking your money with taxes and whatnot. So one of the simple things to do first at your job is ask your employer if they offer a 401k for retirement and start putting some of your paycheck in that. Now, most employers will match funds. And what that means is they'll tell you, oh, we match 50%. Well, you read the fine print, and that's usually only up to 3% of what you put in. So what that means is if you make $100 and you want them to match 3%, you have to put in 6% of your income every time you get a paycheck. So if you make $100, you're putting $6 into that 401k. Then your employer will match 50% or half of that, and you will get $3 for free going into your 401k for that pay period. So understand that you should take advantage of any retirement that they give you, especially if they match funds, and ask questions to try and get that money taken out pre-tax, because understanding taxes will help you as well. And to be wise, you don't want to pay more taxes than you need to. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Don't give Caesar more than what he asks for, okay? And then learn the difference between earned income and passive income.